6 Period News. I am Sabrina Hausman, here with
Sam Morales,
and we're bringing you an intense case today.
The 1995 case of Susan Smith.
Susan Smith is an American woman who was convicted for killing her 2 children.
3-year-old Michael Daniel Smith
and 14-month-old Alexander Tyler Smith.
She did this to keep an affair going with a wealthy man who she knew didn't want a ready-made family.
This case quickly gained the media's attention because Smith had claimed that she had been carjacked by a black man who kidnapped her kids.
After 2 days of them being missing, Smith and her husband were submitted to a lie detector test, although no real answers came out of it.
Then, after 9 days of pleading on national television for rescue and return of her children, she admitted to having killed them herself.
In actuality, she had left them buckled in the car and let the car roll into a lake.
So what's so important about this case?
You mean besides the fact that she killed her children and will be up for parole in 2024?
Well, what we're focusing on isn't the details of the case. It's how racial and gender bias was a big part of it.
Very true. Why don't we take a look at some statistics on racial bias in our justice system? There's a lot of situations that include racial bias that don't necessarily take place in the courtroom. Pew Research Center polling has consistently found that people of different races have very different views about many aspects in the debate on the relationship between policing and race in the U.S. One constant is how differently the issue is viewed by blacks and whites. Currently, 69% of the public, including majorities of both whites, 75%, and blacks, which is 64%, say blacks and whites in this country get along very well or pretty well with police since 2009. The share of blacks with a positive view of relations between the races has fallen 12 points, from 76 to 74%, while remaining largely unchanged among whites. In terms of how appropriately police treat people, 48% of whites said that a lot of progress has been made since 1963, compared with just 32% of blacks. Now let's talk about a well-known event, the Ferguson shooting. In a survey shortly after the shooting, 80% of blacks said the incident raised important issues about race, compared with 37% of whites. Among 1,000 adults, researchers found that the public opinion differs on the importance of Brown's case. 44% think the case raises important issues about race that require discussion, while 40% say that the issue of race is getting more attention than it deserves. So as you can see, people definitely have conflicting opinions on how our justice system treats different races. Whites primarily say it's fair, and people of color think it's a subject worth bringing up to discuss a need for change. Now let's go to some statistics on gender bias in our justice system directly from Sabrina.
When it comes to women committing crimes in society, they are often seen as innocent or not as abundant as men in prison. This popular belief that many seem to have is absolutely false. So, we went out to ask the public what the fastest growing correctional population is since 2010. The truth is, since 2010, women have been the fastest growing correctional population at a rate of 3.4% annually. This is shocking to what most have previously believed. Also, there has been a 3% increase on white women convicted for federal crimes. However, there has only been a 0.2% increase for white males. Men do make up most of our prisons. However, the rate of women incarcerated annually is greater than males. On another note, in state prison, women who were arrested for drug use was higher than the amount of men were in 2014. Women comprised 25% of the total population that were serving for drug offenses, compared to only 15% of men. Misconception about women is seen in many court cases today, such as the Susan Smith case. This case shows that women such as Susan Smith are capable of committing a federal crime.
Now hearing all those numbers at once might get confusing.
So we decided to go out in public to ask for some, opinions.
We'll be right back.
Let's go see what people have to say. First question goes, do you think there's any racial bias in our justice systems?
Yes, there's a lot of racial bias.
Absolutely.
We're not able to express our creative ideas that we have for the country. And a lot of those creative ideas actually come from people with ethnic backgrounds.
I feel like maybe yes. You see all the shootings where it's like usually the white cop is just a black person, and I feel like that's more of a racial thing. So yeah, I would say yes.
sometimes, depending on who's running it. I mean, it's all personality based, so yeah. Say so.
Like, how do they treat like a different color?
Yeah.
Yes, sometimes.
Do you think there's any gender bias in our justice systems?
No, that I can think of.
I honestly don't. I don't know.
Yes.
I'm not 100% aware of whether there's gender bias.
How do you think racial and gender bias affected this case?
Like, I think it affected it because they wouldn't think that a woman would be capable of killing her children.
In my opinion, I think they went with because she's a girl and it was the mother. She wouldn't hurt her children because of the mother's love.
And it became more national because it's a white-black issue, not just strictly a white man, white girl issue.
I think that it being a woman probably shocked more of the followers of the case.
So it could like infer the people to like, oh, it was actually him, not her.
Well, that was quick!
Yeah. So what'd you think?
Honestly, I think those responses prove the statistics right.
They might, but now the question is you. Give us your opinion.
Yeah, what do you think about this?
Is there racial or gender bias in our court system?
Until next time, though.
No, there's no next time.
What? No, don't say that.
Girl, I'm not doing this again.
Stop thinking.
That was